Long before marble towers pierced the sky of Rome, before emperors wore crowns of gold, there was a wild land, untamed, ancient, waiting for destiny to awaken. Here, in the heart of the Italian peninsula, legend says the gods planted a story that would outlive centuries. The story of two brothers and the wolf that nursed an empire. The tale begins in Alba Longa, an ancient city ruled by King Numitor. But power, even in its smallest seed, attracts betrayal. Numitor's brother, Amulius, seized the throne, and to ensure no heir would challenge him, he forced Numitor's daughter, Rhea Silvia, to become a Vestal virgin. But fate cannot be caged. Rhea bore twins, Romulus and Remus, said to be sons of Mars, the god of war. Amulius ordered them drowned in the Tiber, but the river had other plans. A she-wolf found them, nursed them, protected them. From the wilderness, they grew, strong, fearless, and destined for something greater. When they discovered their royal blood, they rose against Amulius, restored their grandfather to power, and sought to build their own city. But ambition divides even brothers. Remus mocked Romulus's walls. Romulus struck, and the brother who once shared his fate fell by his hand. Rome was born in blood, pride, and prophecy. On April 21st, 753 BCE, Romulus founded the city that would one day rule the known world. From its first breath, Rome was a city of kings. 7 ruled, each leaving a mark upon its bones. Romulus, a founder and warrior. Numa Pompilius, the lawgiver who taught Rome to pray, not just fight. Tullus Hostilius, who burned Alba Longa and turned Rome toward conquest. Ancus Marcius, who built the first bridge over the Tiber, binding Rome to the world beyond. Tarquinius Priscus, the Etruscan who brought wealth, symbols of kingship, and the first sewers. Servius Tullius, born a slave, ruled as a visionary, built walls and gave rights to the poor. And finally, Tarquinius Superbus, the proud king whose cruelty ended monarchy forever. When Tarquin's son violated a noblewoman named Lucretia, Rome's patience broke. The people rose, and the last king of Rome was cast out. And so from tyranny was born freedom. 509 BCE, Rome declared, "Never again shall one man rule the city." 2 consuls chosen yearly would share power. The Senate would guide them, and the people would vote. It was a system born from both fear and genius, balance between power and restraint, and it would become Rome's greatest weapon. But freedom is never free. As Rome grew, so did its people, and so did division. The patricians, noble elites who ruled the Senate, the plebeians, commoners, soldiers, farmers, demanded equality. The plebs withdrew, refusing to fight for Rome until granted rights. The Senate bent, and the 12 tables were carved. For the first time, law was written, not whispered. The rights of citizens, the duties of leaders, forever engraved in bronze. It was more than a legal code. It was Rome's heartbeat, order, justice, and the promise that every man, rich or poor, stood beneath the same law. But as Rome's citizens learned to govern themselves, they also learned to fight together. From the chaos of tribes rose discipline, structure, and destiny. Rome was young, but already restless. The kings were gone, the republic born, yet power hungers, and Rome's eyes turned beyond her walls. A city of farmers was becoming a city of soldiers. Duty, discipline, and destiny. These were the virtues that would forge an empire. In the 5th century BCE, the world around Rome was chaos. Rival tribes, Etruscan kings, and Greek colonies fighting for survival. Rome fought them all and won. First the Etruscans, then the Samnites in the Apennine Mountains. Battle after battle, Rome did not stop. Each defeat became a lesson, every victory a foundation. But what made Rome unstoppable was not her weapons, it was her system. Every conquered people were given a choice: fight Rome or become part of Rome. Roads were built, colonies founded. Latin became the heartbeat of a growing world. By 265 BCE, all of Italy bowed to Rome. But across the sea, a rival waited. Older, richer, and far more powerful. Carthage, and a queen of the Western Mediterranean. Rome was landborn. Carthage was of the sea. Their collision would shape history. The First Punic War began in 264 BCE, fought over the island of Sicily. Rome, with no navy, built one from scratch and taught itself to fight at sea. For 23 years they battled, until Carthage fell and Sicily became Rome's first province. But Carthage was not done. From the mountains of Iberia, a new storm rose, led by one name history will never forget, Hannibal Barca. In the Second Punic War, Hannibal crossed the Alps with 37 elephants and crushed Rome's armies again and again. At Trebia, at Lake Trasimene, at Cannae, where 50,000 Romans died in a single day. But Rome did not surrender. One man, Publius Cornelius Scipio, carried the war to Carthage itself. At Zama, in 202 BCE, Hannibal was defeated. Carthage was stripped of her power. The Mediterranean became Rome's sea. They called it Mare Nostrum, our sea. But with victory came a poison. Gold flowed into Rome, and with it, greed. The small farmer, once Rome's backbone, was crushed by the estates of the rich. Veterans returned from war to find their land stolen. The Gracchus brothers, Tiberius and Gaius, tried to reform the Republic, to give land back to the poor. But Rome had forgotten its own ideals. Both brothers were murdered by senators who feared change. And with their deaths, something inside Rome broke. The Republic that once fought for liberty began to rot from within. Power no longer rested in the Senate, but in generals. Gaius Marius, champion of the people, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, defender of the nobles. When their ambitions clashed, Rome turned its swords inward. Sulla marched his army on Rome. The first time in its history, the sacred city of the gods became a battlefield. When it was over, Sulla made himself dictator. Lists of enemies were carved in public, and men were killed for their names. He claimed to restore order. Instead, he taught every ambitious man a lesson. If you control the army, you control Rome. And somewhere in those halls, a young boy watched, learning. His name, Gaius Julius Caesar. Rome had conquered the world, but could not conquer itself. Within her marble walls, power was no longer shared. It was hunted. Ambition, the seed that once made Rome rise, from the ruins of civil war rose a man unlike any Rome had ever seen, Gaius Julius Caesar, brilliant, daring, and mercilessly ambitious. He was born into an old patrician family, yet loved by the people, a soldier, a writer, a visionary, and a master of words. In Gaul, Caesar fought for 8 long years, conquering lands from the Rhine to the Atlantic. His reports, the commentaries on the Gallic Wars, made him not just a general, but a legend. But the Senate feared his fame. They ordered him to disband his army and return to Rome, alone. Instead, Caesar led his legions to the banks of the Rubicon River, the border between obedience and rebellion. And with a whisper that shook eternity, he said, "Alea iacta est," the die is cast. When he crossed the Rubicon, Caesar crossed into history. The city that once feared kings now trembled before a general. Caesar faced Pompey the Great, once his ally, now his rival. Their war was swift and brutal. At Pharsalus, Caesar crushed Pompey's forces. The great general fled to Egypt, seeking refuge, only to find betrayal. The conqueror of Rome wept, not for an enemy, but for what Rome had become. In Egypt, destiny introduced him to a queen, Cleopatra, clever, beautiful, dangerous. She saw in Caesar not just a man, but a future. Together they forged an alliance, and a child Caesarion who would carry both worlds in his veins. But love could not silence ambition. Back in Rome, Caesar was hailed as a hero, then made dictator for life. The Republic, already wounded, now gasped its last. March 15th, 44 BCE, the day the Republic struck back. His friends, his allies, and among them, his beloved Brutus, gathered in the Curia of Pompey. Then, in a storm of daggers, they fell upon him, 23 wounds, and as his life faded, he looked into the eyes of his friend. "It too, Brute, then fall, Caesar." With his death, the Republic died too. What remained was the memory of freedom and the hunger for revenge. After Caesar's death, Rome fell into chaos once more. His allies, Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian, formed the Second Triumvirate, but alliances built on ambition never last. Antony took Egypt and Cleopatra. Octavian took Rome. The world watched as love and power collided again. In 31 BCE, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian's fleet destroyed Antony and Cleopatra. The lover's dream drowned beneath the waves. Cleopatra chose death by her own hand. Rome had no queen and no equal. He returned to Rome as its master. The Republic was gone. In its place, an empire was born. In 27 BCE, the Senate gave him a new name, Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, and from that moment, Rome was no longer a city, it was the world. The Republic had devoured itself. Greed, fear, ambition. They tore through Rome like a plague, but from its ashes rose something new, something immortal. Rome, no longer a republic of men, but an empire of one. When Julius Caesar fell, the world held its breath. But the young Octavian, his adopted son, did not mourn for long. He was only 19, yet he carried the destiny of Rome in his hands. At first, few took him seriously, but Octavian was not made for small dreams. He formed an uneasy alliance, the Second Triumvirate, with Mark Antony and Lepidus. Together they hunted Caesar's assassins, Brutus and Cassius, across the fields of Philippi. When the dust cleared, the killers of Caesar were gone, but so too was the Republic they claimed to protect. Then came betrayal. Antony turned east, to Egypt and to Cleopatra. Together they dreamed of a new Rome, from Alexandria. But Octavian saw a threat, not love, but treason. At Actium, 31 BCE, Rome fought Rome once more. Octavian's ships, disciplined and deadly, shattered Antony's fleet. Antony and Cleopatra fled and died together. And in that moment, Octavian became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. The gates of war closed. The age of empire began. After centuries of blood, Rome knew peace, a peace forged not by mercy, but by mastery. The Pax Romana, 200 years of order, progress, and power. Rome's borders stretched from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Syria. Augustus reformed the army, rebuilt temples, revived ancient virtues. He ruled not as a king, but as the princeps, the first citizen. He built the Ara Pacis, the altar of peace, to honor the calm he brought after centuries of chaos. Under Augustus, Rome was not just powerful, it was eternal. But peace, even Rome's peace, had a price. For every road laid in marble, 1,000 backs bent in silence. When Augustus died in 14 CE, he left no son, only a system, a machine that needed a human soul to guide it. His stepson Tiberius inherited the crown, a soldier, cold and distant. He ruled well at first, cautious, deliberate, but isolation poisoned him. He withdrew to the island of Capri, leaving Rome to crumble beneath fear and whispers. Then came Caligula, young, ambitious, unhinged. He called himself a god, ordered his horse made consul, bathed in excess, drowned in madness. His rule ended the way many Roman rulers would, in blood. Claudius the scholar followed, hesitant but wise. He expanded Rome's reach to Britain, reformed laws, and gave new life to the empire. But betrayal waited even for him. His own wife Agrippina poisoned him to place her son on the throne. And thus rose Nero. He was young, charismatic, a lover of music and art. But in power, he found his truest performance: tragedy. In 64 CE, fire consumed Rome. For 9 days it raged, devouring temples, homes, and lives. Many whispered that Nero himself had lit the flames to rebuild the city in his image. He blamed the Christians, and their persecution began. But tyranny burns faster than faith. The Senate declared him a public enemy. As soldiers approached, Nero ended his life, whispering, "What an artist dies in me." The death of Nero left a throne and no heir. In 1 year, 69 CE, 4 men claimed the empire. Civil war tore Rome apart again, until one general, Vespasian, restored order. He built the Colosseum, a monument to both glory and control. The empire had survived madness, fire, and blood, but its foundations were beginning to crack. And as new emperors rose, from warriors to philosophers, Rome would touch the heavens before the shadows crept ever closer. Rome stood unchallenged. From the sands of Arabia to the cliffs of Britannia, her eagles cast their shadows across the world. She had conquered everything except herself. This was the height of the Roman Empire. After chaos came wisdom. From 96 to 180 CE, Rome was ruled by 5 men, chosen not by birth, but by merit. They were called the 5 good emperors. Under them, Rome reached the peak of her glory. Nerva restored justice. Trajan expanded the empire farther than ever before, conquering Dacia, Arabia, and reaching the Persian Gulf. Hadrian built walls to protect what Rome had won, not chase what she had not. Antoninus Pius ruled in peace, loved by all, feared by none. And Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, ruled with wisdom and war. Even as his soldiers died on the frontiers, he wrote not of conquest, but of duty, of virtue, of the burden of power. Under these emperors, Rome's cities glowed with light. Roads connected empires, libraries flourished, markets overflowed with spices and silk. For a moment, civilization felt eternal, but eternity has edges. Beyond Rome's borders, wild lands stirred, Germanic tribes watched, Parthian horsemen gathered, and to the north the cold winds whispered, "How long can one city rule the world?" Rome's legions stood guard at the empire's rim, disciplined, proud, and weary. Their sons were born not in Italy, but in distant provinces. Soldiers first, Romans second. For centuries they held the line, but the cracks had begun to form. Empire has a cost, and Rome paid it in silver, sweat, and silence. The empire's wealth flowed to the center, while the provinces bore the burden. Slavery sustained her economy, but corroded her spirit. As cities grew, corruption crept in. Senators schemed, generals plotted, and the gap between rich and poor widened like a wound. The marble shone brighter, but the foundations began to rot. While emperors built monuments, something invisible began to grow in the shadows. A new faith, born not of conquest, but of compassion. A carpenter's teachings, whispered from Jerusalem to Antioch, from Alexandria to Rome. They spoke of mercy, forgiveness, and a kingdom not of this world. To some it was hope, to others heresy. Christians were hunted, tortured, thrown to beasts, but their faith spread like fire beneath the marble streets. The more Rome tried to silence them, the louder their message became. Then came death, unseen, unstoppable. In 165 CE, a plague swept through the empire, carried by soldiers returning from the east. It killed millions: farmers, senators, soldiers, even emperors. Marcus Aurelius himself fell to it. The philosopher king, who had written of virtue and patience, was taken by the same unseen hand that would one day fell empires. The Golden Age was over. Marcus Aurelius left his throne to his son, Commodus, and with him, the empire began to unravel. He fancied himself a god, fought as a gladiator, bathed in blood for sport. While he entertained the mob, the empire's edges burned. Generals rebelled, provinces broke away, and corruption drowned reason. In 192 CE, Commodus was strangled in his bath. The next century would not bring peace, only survival. Rome still called itself eternal, its legions still marched, its temples still gleamed. But the balance was gone. The spirit that once bound citizen to state, soldier to senate, had begun to fade. And as new emperors rose, not from Rome, but from distant provinces, the empire's soul began to shift. The eternal city had reached the height of the world, and the world was beginning to weigh upon her. Every empire believes it will last forever. Rome was no different, but eternity is not measured in marble. It is measured in memory. The empire that once ruled the world was beginning to fade, not with a scream, but with a whisper. After the chaos of Commodus, Rome was never the same. Generals seized power, emperors came and went, some reigning for days, others for hours. From 235 to 284 CE, Rome was a storm of assassinations, invasions, and despair. The empire was simply too vast to hold together. Then came a man of iron, Diocletian. He brought order through division, splitting the empire in two: the Western Roman Empire in Rome and the Eastern Roman Empire in Constantinople. Two emperors, two courts, two Romes, sharing one soul. It was survival, but not salvation. Then came the emperor who changed history forever, Constantine. At the Milvian Bridge, 312 CE, he claimed to have seen a vision, a cross in the heavens with the words, "In this sign you shall conquer." He fought under that sign, and he won. For the first time in history, the empire embraced Christianity. The persecuted became protected. The faith of slaves became the faith of emperors. Constantine founded a new capital, Nova Roma, soon called Constantinople, a city between East and West, destined to outlive its mother, Rome. But while Constantine built his new world, the old one began to crumble. For centuries, Rome had stood behind its walls. Now the world beyond those walls was moving. The Goths, fleeing the deadly Huns, poured across the Danube. Rome granted them land, but not respect. At Adrianople, 378 CE, Rome paid the price. Emperor Valens fell in battle, and an entire Roman army was annihilated. For the first time in centuries, the invincible legions had broken. And then, it happened. Alaric, king of the Visigoths, marched on Rome. The eternal city, unbreached for 800 years, was sacked. For 3 days Rome burned. Gold and glory turned to ash. The world trembled, for if Rome could fall, what was safe? Saint Jerome wrote, "The light of the world is extinguished." Rome would rise again, but never the same. In the decades that followed, puppet emperors ruled in name only. The real power lay in generals, warlords, and faith. The Eastern Empire, Byzantium, thrived under Constantine's legacy, but the West was dying. By 476 CE, the last emperor, a boy named Romulus Augustulus, was dethroned by a barbarian king named Odoacer. The crown of Rome was gone, but Rome did not truly die. Its empire became memory. Its laws became the foundation of nations. Its language, Latin, lived on in science, religion, and art. From her ruins rose cathedrals. From her ashes, Europe. From her words, civilization. Rome fell as an empire, but lived on as an idea. The idea that order can rise from chaos, that law can outlast the sword, and that even in ruin, greatness endures. For every road we walk, every stone we build, every law we uphold, carries the ghost of Rome. Empires rise, empires fall, but Rome never truly died. This was the story of the Roman Empire, from its wolf-born dawn to its eternal legacy. A story not just of kings and battles, but of humanity's hunger for order, beauty, and immortality. If you believe history must be remembered, like, share, and subscribe. Because the past lives on only when we tell its story